All right, so we're talking about brand new engines for the 2023 Ford Super Duty, and this right here is the new base engine. It is a 6.8 liter V8, and it replaces the 6.2 liter that was a base engine before. And Paul Murray is going to tell us a bit more detail about this engine. So Paul, why did you guys decide to oust the 6.2 and replace it with this 6.8 right here?
Well, the 6.2 was a good engine, and what we did was we have so much success with our premium 7.3 liter Godzilla engine that we took the base architecture of our proven technology and decided what we could do is make a really nice entry-level package for entry customers, for fleet sales. So we took the, like I say, the base architecture of the 7.3 liter, and then we changed the stroke of it to make a 6.8 liter. It's got your dual equal variable cam timing. It's a roller hydraulic camshaft, aluminum cylinder head, 10.8 to 1 compression, making 405 horsepower and 445 foot-pounds of torque. It just makes it more economical for the fleet owners to buy when you're talking about volume of trucks, and it's got great durability and long-term reliability.
And that's something that actually I was surprised to learn. So this is a push rod engine.
That's right.
A cam in block engine.
That's correct.
And so that means this is also
exactly
cam in block, and same bore and everything.
Same
you just
bore.
reduce the stroke.
That's right.
The 6.2 was an overhead cam engine.
Yeah.
So why would you go from what is considered a more advanced, and I'm using air quotes here, technology to go for more tried and true?
It really depends on what you're trying to do, and with Super Duty customers, most of them are really looking for a lot of torque, right? They're pulling heavy loads, trailers, payload, and so what we have here is a couple of high torque engines. These are high torque engines that will deliver the performance that the customer is looking for at a reasonable cost. And they're easy to maintain, easy to repair when needed, do any preventative maintenance on it, and it really holds the overhead and cost down for any of the owners. On top of it, especially for fleet owners, the key is uptime. When that truck is down, they're not making money, they're losing money every minute that truck's down, so they're looking for something that's got really low maintenance and high reliability, and that's what we can provide with the Godzilla engines and with the 6.8 liter for entry level and fleet owners. And they're all mated to a 10-speed transmission, so that they're going to get improved fuel economy, fantastic towing. The vehicle is very connected, and you've got all the gear, step ratios you need to maintain whatever speeds at whatever weight loads you have on the truck.
Yeah, and I got to try this engine out in an XL off-road.
That's right.
And I found it a perfectly well-tuned exhaust, reasonable power, low-end torque. It was all strong. Now, the upgraded engine from the 6.8 is the 7.3. This is updated from 2022, but the peak outputs are still the same, correct?
Well, the 430 horsepower is the same, but now it's 485 foot-pounds of torque, where previously it was 475 foot-pounds of torque.
Okay, so we've gotten a little bit more torque. Okay.
You've got an upgraded piston rings, water pump on it. You know, we've made some subtle changes to it to try to get a little bit more power and performance out of it. We've got a more efficient water pump. You see there's a cutaway here. So we have a more efficient water pump that improves the cooling.
Okay, and when you say more efficient, does it take less horsepower to run it?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's exactly what it does.
Okay.
You know, reduced horsepower to run, and then we've upgraded our piston rings here.
These down here.
That's right.
So new piston rings, and what do the rings do? Because the compression ratio is still the same, yeah?
Compression ratio is still the same. We have 10.8 to 1 on the 6.8 and 10.5 to 1 on the 7.3.
Gotcha.
We've improved the combustion efficiency in there, and we were able to do that changing the piston rings and
I see. Okay, so the piston rings helped improve combustion efficiency.
Right.
Did that have anything to do with like the completeness of the combustion, or like getting the swirl so it expanded?
it's really complete combustion is the key always, right? You want a stoichiometric mixture and you want complete combustion
Yes.
to reduce your emissions, and you want to be able to use all the fuel you have for power out of the engine.
Great, great. Now this engine is a healthy engine, but if you want real power, you do have to go to the diesels, and you do have 2 diesels now. And I was able to talk with your diesel expert about these, but it's just kind of bonkers the numbers you get out of these things anymore, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, for people who are towing 30 and 40,000 pound trailers, then you'd want to step to your diesel.
Paul, thank you so very much for this insight on
Absolutely.
the brand new 6.8 liter and truly updated 7.3 liter V8s.
Absolutely.
All right, it was not that long ago that we were talking about nearing and then cresting 1,000 pound-feet of torque, but now Sean Spanbauer at Ford is showing off this new high-output Power Stroke turbo diesel that makes 500 horsepower and 1,200 pound-feet of torque. And Sean, I would love for you to tell us just a little bit more about it.
Well, like you said, this is our brand new high output engine for 2023 model year. I guess to start with, in order to make all that torque and power, you need more fuel. So we've got a bigger high pressure common rail fuel pump on here. We've also increased the injector flow rate by about 6% in order to get all that fuel in the cylinders.
Now, are the injectors themselves the same and it's just pumping more fuel through them, or are they bigger?
The nozzle orifice diameters are bigger in order to just open them up a little bit.
Gotcha.
Same operating pressure as before though. So that gives us the capability to get more fuel into the engine. So with all that fuel, you need more air. So the high output engine now has, for the first time ever on 6.7 liter, a water cooled compressor housing.
These guys right here.
Yep, so we've got an inlet and an outlet here that feed cooled, low temperature coolant to a water jacket right embedded into the compressor housing itself. On a diesel engine, around peak torque, you get really limited by the amount of pressure and temperature you can push through it. As you're building pressure, you're also building temperature. So if you can pull temperature out right where you're making the boost, you can push even harder. So this guy will make 35 PSI of positive boost at peak
So
torque.
that's 35 PSI above atmospheric.
Over atmospheric.
Wow.
Yep. So it almost acts like an intercooler before the intercooler a little bit, just to drop down our temperatures a bit.
So basically what you're getting at is you're getting more in by getting more condensed air. The temperature's lower, so it's more dense air that you're getting through.
Right. So, we've got more air, we've got more fuel. Next thing we had to do is drop the compression ratio a little bit. Because we are releasing so much energy in cylinder, our peak firing pressures get pretty high. So we dropped the compression ratio from 15.8 to 1 to 15.2 to 1. That lowers things back down to about where they were before for the max firing pressure. So now we've made all of that power, we've released all of that heat, now we have to manage it. So for the high output, we've got unique upgraded stainless steel exhaust manifolds and turbocharger up pipes.
These guys right here.
Yep.
And then this is the up pipe.
Yep, yeah, so the manifolds are actually tucked right in here.
Okay.
So the Ford 6.7 liter Scorpion is actually what's called a hot V. So the air comes into the heads through the cam covers.
Sure.
They act as the intake manifolds themselves. The intake ports are outboard out here. You can't really see them all that well. You can see little castings in there.
Yep.
So that's where the air enters in the cylinder. And then it flows backwards through the cylinders.
And the exhaust is inbound here.
Exactly, you got it. So then we've got our upgraded stainless manifolds and out pipes into our turbine housing.
Now this I mean, it makes me laugh every time. This is a massive turbo right here.
It is a massive turbo.
Is this the compression side or the exhaust side?
This is the turbine stage, so the hot stage.
Okay.
Compressors on the other side.
So
It's kinda
compressor's
hard to
more
see.
in the center there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it takes up a lot of real estate in the hot V, and it's
does.
just massive how big it is. Now it is a single turbo for both sides of the V.
Correct.
Yeah. Total output is 500 horsepower, 1,200 pound-feet of torque. With all that power, what about like the strength of the materials, bolts, and all that kind of stuff? Like, how many bolts are holding this thing together?
Sure. So for 2020 model year, there was actually a really significant upgrade to the 6.7 liter when we went up to 1050 foot-pounds. That set us up in a really good spot for this high output upgrade.
And that's this engine right here, by the way, which is now the standard output, I suppose you could say, diesel, yeah?
Correct, yeah, our base output. So with that one, we already moved up to the steel pistons. Our cylinder heads are pretty robust as they are. We did have to revise the cooling passages within the cylinder heads in order to handle that additional heat load that we're making. So they are new, unique cylinder heads. A lot of that technology does trickle down and benefit the base customer as well, though.
So when you talk about the standard output engine, of those technologies make it easier for that engine to work as well.
Correct, yeah. So when you're making as many engines as Ford does, you really want to maintain as much part commonality as you can, both for the mass production as well as the service part later on in life. So, you know, when we upgraded the cylinder heads, we gave that to the base customer as well.
Ah, okay. So, in terms of what specifically stands out between 1050 and 1200, it's cooler air so that you have more air.
Yep.
Larger fuel injectors.
That
for
one
more
common
fuel.
between both.
Oh, that is common between both.
Correct.
Okay.
The real parts that make the high output engine from a hardware standpoint, are the cooled compressor housing and the upgraded stainless steel material on the exhaust system.
And that's so that it could manage the higher heat.
Exactly.
I see. Wow. So I guess the last question is, where do we stop? I mean, at what point do you say, you know what, oh, we have 3,000 pound-feet of torque, we're good?
So unfortunately, I'm not able to comment on future product direction, but...
So next generation will be 3,000, okay.
But what I can say is that, you know, we do everything we can to make this the most capable truck possible.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's the most capable truck possible or not, but you're going to win a lot of arguments at the bar. I know that much. Sean, thank you so very much.
Thank you very much.